This is a clip from Basketball at the Bar Live. Let's do it. All right, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks and how we can help them get back to the NBA playoffs, how we can help them get back to the Eastern Conference Finals next season. Unfortunately, they finished the year 43-39, which is disappointing for Atlanta fans. I expected them to do much better. However, they did make the playoffs before getting eliminated in the first round here. Let's take a look at the roster and see what we can do to help improve the team. According to ESPN, the starting lineup is Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. Capella's been dealing with a ton of injuries, but I don't think we can expect that to happen next year, so I think he'll go into next season pretty strong. According to the salary cap here, John Collins is the highest paid player on this team. He's locked up for 4 more years, $23.5 million next season. Danilo Gallinari has 1 year left. It's a partially guaranteed $21 million. Bogdan Bogdanovic, who just completed successful surgery and is recovering and expected to be back in full next season, has 2 more years left on his deal. Clint Capella's got 3 more years. DeLon Wright is expiring. Trae Young goes into the first year of his huge contract extension, so he's got 5 years left. DeAndre Hunter is entering in the last year of his rookie contract. Okongwu is entering in the last 2 years of his rookie deal. And then you have some expiring contracts like Kevin Knox, who is restricted, Lou Williams, not restricted, Gorgie Dang, and then Kevin Huerter is entering in the first year of his 4-year extension. So, Calvin, what can this Hawks team do to improve this offseason?
Well, again, this is a team with a lot of good young players. They shoot the lights out of the ball. They're a great three-point shooting team. Capella and Trae Young work really, really well together as a point guard center combo. They need to be better defensively. That is the number one thing that makes them a legit contender in the Eastern Conference. So as much as I like Clint Capella and his fit on this team, I did see a potential deal, a sign and trade with the Phoenix Suns for DeAndre Ayton and Clint Capella. I think that's a great deal for both teams. In my opinion, it's one of the best returns I can get if I'm Phoenix that keeps me in the win now mode by getting a guy like Capella to replace DeAndre Ayton. And Ayton now fits the the window here with Trae Young. That could be your point guard center superstar combo for the next 10 years.
Interesting.
So I like that deal a lot. I would definitely explore that if I was Atlanta. Next thing I would do is I would try to move on from John Collins. I just don't think that he's got a lot of room to get better, but I feel like he's already been rumored to be not exactly happy with his role on this team, or there were a lot of rumors, I think, around the trade deadline of him wanting out of Atlanta. So I would move on from him, and I would try to bring in a guy who is a really, really solid defender. And Malcolm Brogdon is another guy that I'm looking at for this team that I think could be a great guy to have in the backcourt with Trae Young. Mm-hmm. Really solid defender, good outside shooter. I mean, everybody's enamored with Bogdan Bogdanovic right now and how well he's played. Bogdanovic is a career 38% three-point shooter. Brogdon is just underneath that. It's like 37.6%.
And a much better defender.
For his career, and a much better defender. He's also a guy that you can have handle the ball for Trae Young. We saw in the playoffs against the Miami Heat, they just completely took Trae Young out of the game because they had bigger defenders that they were able to switch on him, get physical with him. I mean, it's basically the same idea that you think about when trying to defend Steph Curry, right? But Curry has put on some muscle over his career. He's gotten much, much better at dealing with that sort of stuff. Trae Young hasn't gotten to that point yet, at least not consistently enough. So I think if you have another guy who can share the point guard responsibilities, maybe not full-time, but a guy who's capable of handling the ball and running an offense in moments like that, then you give Trae Young an opportunity to be Steph Curry, right? Or to become that, because now he's going to learn how to play without the ball in those situations. So I think if you can work a deal for a guy like DeAndre Ayton, I love DeAndre Hunter. I think that if he can stay healthy, he is the exact prototypical type player for the NBA right now, a 3-and-D, a floor spacer. You've still got those other three-point shooters around you. And then the other question mark I have is Danilo Gallinari. As much as good of a player as he's been over his career, it's kind of the same thing for me with Gordon Hayward and the Hornets. He's 33 years old now. He makes over $20 million.
Yep.
Is the production going to match, the amount of money that you're paying him?
Yeah, I agree with you. I find that Ayton deal quite interesting. I think something like that could benefit both teams for sure. I definitely think it could. As far as John Collins goes, I don't know what's going on with this guy. Like, he has had a lot of productive seasons for the Hawks. They've paid him. He just made $23 million last year. They've made the playoffs. Now you have 4 more years left at 23, 25, 26, and almost $27 million. I have no idea why this guy's not happy in Atlanta. But if I'm the GM, I think that's my first move, is I'm trying to figure out what's going on with John Collins. Does he want to be here, or does he not want to be here? I would love to have John Collins on this team. I think he fits this team well. It's just a mental thing that we need to figure out, whether he's on board. I'd be totally happy to come back next season with John Collins and Clint Capella on this roster, if I could, and if they would be happy on this team. I think the major needs that this team really has is they need more 3-and-D players, especially wings, and they need a backup point guard. We've seen when Trae Young goes out, this team, the offense can get quite stagnant. You do have a guy in DeLon Wright who is expiring, and Bogdan Bogdanovic has shown some playmaking ability as well. But when I look at this roster, I agree with you. Danilo Gallinari, what is going on with him? He's 33 years old. This final year is partially guaranteed, so you could potentially just cut him, maybe have $10 million count towards your salary cap, and he is completely gone. Or maybe you can, trade him and salvage some value. But I would love to have Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella back. I just need to figure out who that 2 is going to be. Kevin Huerter has played well, but I'm still not really sold on him. I think he's great on the offensive end of the ball, not always there defensively. I look at Kevin Huerter and Bogdan Bogdanovic as very similar players. I think you have too many of these guys on this roster. I think you need to get rid of one of them, bring in a starting quality shooting guard that can play off the ball extremely well and can also defend extremely well and help make up for some of what Trae Young can't do on the defensive end of the floor. I think you have either Bogdan or Huerter be your 6th man and your first guy off the bench. And then I think you need to bring in a Rajon Rondo or a veteran starting quality point guard to come off the bench behind Trae Young.
Yeah. I like Jalen Johnson a lot too. He's a really intriguing player to me. Another guy that's got great size, great athleticism, really, really high potential, and is very young. He's only 20 years old. He didn't really get a lot of run with the Hawks last year. So that's another area where I would be okay with trading John Collins as long as I'm getting back something, that I feel benefits the team, especially from a defensive standpoint. But that will free up maybe some minutes for me to give Jalen Johnson an opportunity and see what this kid's got. Because if he reaches his potential, that's, a huge steal for Atlanta where they got him in the draft. I think he was like 21 overall or something like that.
Speaking of the draft, the Hawks have the 16th pick in this year's NBA draft. Anybody you'd like them to target with that pick?
I would just go with a solid, like you mentioned, a wing or a front court player that's a defensive-minded guy. I'm not really sure.
I'm going to throw Pat Baldwin Jr. out there.
Pat Baldwin Jr. is a good name. I like that. I don't think you're going to find anybody at pick 16 that really is going to crack the starting lineup for you right away. And the Hawks have been rumored to be another team that's trying to move up as well. Mm-hmm. So, maybe there's something where you package the 16th pick and John Collins, to move up into the top 10 or something like that. But
it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Atlanta Hawks. They could come back with almost the same exact team as last year, or it can be a completely new team. they definitely have some guys to build around, especially Trae Young and DeAndre Hunter. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. If you are a Hawks fan, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Calvin and I will be covering the Atlanta Hawks and many other teams in the NBA throughout this offseason. If you have any ideas or any thoughts on what we just said, let us know down below in the comments. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. You can join us live every single weekday, Monday through Friday.